Welcome to this week's live. Man, we got a special guest in the waterfowl den. So, Jake, welcome to the waterfowl den. So
Thank you for having
tonight,
me. Thank you for
we,
having me. I'm looking
oh
forward
yeah, man, this is something big for the podcast room. Like, welcome to the half-shaped boat.
to it. Yeah, Jay was telling me about your podcast room, and I did check it out on one of them one time. You got a cool little setup for sure.
Man, the other half of the boat. What originally happened was the first part, the front of the boat, is actually mounted to the wall over here. That's got ducks laying across the front of it. So the back, I was like, hey, let's just turn it into a desk. So that's how it turned out.
Look at whatever works. Yeah, I think it's cool personally. So
I mean,
it's a
after the
lot cooler
storm,
than my setup over here. I mean,
after the rain we had today, I thought I was gonna have to get some Flex Seal out. But welcome to the show. Today we got Jake from Keeks Chokes. Most people call it Keeks Chokes, but some people call it Keeks Industries. So big name to the hunting industry. Um, so give us some little bit background on Keeks in general.
sure. So how we originally got started in this business is really the I guess the cool thing about the story. So my granddad was he pretty much machine worked for Westinghouse back in the day. Running screw machines, bar ends, making little fittings. And when I say little fittings, like we're talking about like jobs back in the 70s and 80s. You would lose a job over like a part being like half of a cent too much. This is the quantity we're talking about here. So it's pretty cool how we got started. And my granddad, he was a avid shooter. We ran deer dogs. He's from South Carolina. Back in the day, running deer dogs, and we was always messing with guns, always messing with choke tubes or how to make a effective pattern, I guess. And we started really making choke tubes. He privately just for him, and did very well. So kind of went from there, and it kind of grew. Um, we actually run the World Steel Target Championship, and I believe that was in about 97, 98. And that's what really put us on the map. And then we went from a part time choke tube shop to full time choke tubes. That's all I do now. Everything I do is choke tubes. That's all I do.
Wow. So were you even born in '97?
I was actually born in '98, so
Okay, I was gonna say now.
it was
You
before,
said
a little bit before my time. So I hope I have all my details right now.
when you threw that out champion in '97, I was like, well, wait a minute, I was only in high school, so I don't think he was born yet.
No, I was probably a thought, but was not executed yet.
You got any brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I got one sister. She's
Okay.
well, she was like I say, she's about 2 years older than me, so she was born in '96. So she'd have been a youngin.
All right. So currently, you're now running the show. I know the background, but your father was running it, and tragically, we know what happened. Um, Good man, and that's how I met him. That's how I met Kix, and Kix was introduced to the show, and he was a great supporter from the get go. And then tragically, your father passed away. And I talked to you. I don't know. It was like a month or two after he passed away, and when I called you up, you were like, "Dude, I don't even know what's going on." I mean, you were like lost for words for lost. Like you didn't even know what you was like, dude. I'm gonna have to grow up. Like
Oh yeah,
I'm confused.
it
So
was
how?
um, it was so I of course I can't take all the credit. My uncle Luke, my dad's youngest brother, he runs the manufacturing side of things. He is the one who builds these choke tubes. Now I used to,
Right.
um, until Daddy passed away, and then I took over everything as far as office day to day work, dealer. What's the word? You know, I talk to everybody on the phone. I'm customer support, shipping, I handle online orders. I handle dealer orders. I handle side of marketing. I do everything except for the manufacturing side of things. And it was definitely a moment. I was 25 years old, and it, I mean, you should be grown up by 25, but you know how us fellas are. We don't ever hardly grow up, and it was, it was unexpected. It was unfortunate. I'll just go ahead and say he was on his motorcycle coming to work, and drunk driver ran out and killed him instantly.
Yeah.
So it was definitely a pivotal moment. It was, and I'm thankful for it because it was either a time to, I had this business that fell in my lap and to run what Daddy did, and Daddy built, he built it as far as the marketing side, and his great customer support, and he's just a friendly guy to talk to. You call up there, you may be on the phone in an hour because he's
right.
he's just a good guy to talk to, and him and Luke kind of built this business, and very fortunate that it is where it is today. I can't take any credit in that, but I'm trying to keep it going. But it was definitely a reality check. It was tough. I know when you called me, and I mean, I didn't know as far as anything as far as office work. I've never worked in an office. I worked out in the plant. I never did any of that, and it's and it was tough. I mean, it was a lot to learn very quickly. Made a lot of mistakes, but that's how you learn. Everybody made mistakes. Right.
It's different when you're in the back doing something versus now you got to be the front man and everything else.
Yeah, it was tough, and I've never, man, shoot, I've been very blessed my whole life, and never even knew what stress was. The only stress I ever had was not turning in my homework the next day from school or something, which I really didn't stress out about that, but yeah, but it was a bad time, but I wouldn't trade it for the world because that's what makes a man out of you.
Yeah. So Jay's in the group. Jay said hey, and Jeff he's in the middle of the country there, so he might be in blizzards. Jeff, y'all got blizzards out there today? Because that blew my mind that out west somewhere there was blizzards going on. But he'll comment in a minute. So how many people is employed at Keeks?
So currently I have six employees.
So 6 people.
Yep. So I've got 2 in the office that help me. Two great women who help me, and actually really Miss Sylvia, the older lady in there, I consider her the boss. So she tells me what to do on a day-to-day basis. And
she probably tells you what to do too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I got they're great, and then I've got 3 guys in the shop who do very well, not including my uncle. Me and my uncle are excluded from that.
Right. So, how many chokes do you think y'all have made over the time?
Enough for where you think everybody should have a Keeks choke too.
I mean, honestly, most everybody I know does have a Keeks chokes.
Good.
So everybody may have other brands too, but the name Keeks has been around for a long time. So I'm sure a lot of people has a Keeks choke somewhere.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's amazing, man. I was one of the questions we was going to talk about where I send them as far as like countries and stuff. And I it's amazing. And to start out is just, and we're still as far as I want to hit this too, I do everything in house. Right. The only thing I do not do in house is my black oxide. So what turns the chokes black, that's what only thing I don't do. But everything is done in house. As far as I get solid bar stock from the mills, and I turn it down and make a choke tube. Everything is done outside my door.
There's one of these squirrel mamas. Is metal getting harder at the moment?
Not really. Not at the moment. Luke would be a really better one to ask. Just because I don't handle the ordering of the steel. But I did ask him about that. With the state of politics right now. And the good thing about us is pretty much I don't have, like, as far as the tariff goes, I don't pay a tariff or anything because it's technically an American made product because we're making it in our own mills over here.
So do you, I know, like, even when I'm doing YouTube or something, you see a video get shared somewhere and you're like, that's pretty cool that it reached blah blah blah. Like, I look at the podcast stuff sometimes and I'm like, why is somebody in Russia listening to me? Like, is there places that you see sometimes a picture of your chokes, you know, like, how in the world did a choke get into wherever?
Okay, so I got a great story for you. As a matter of fact, I like I say, I do used to do a lot in Russia. Unfortunately, not too much right now because of the war going on.
Right.
Lot in Greece, a lot in France. But the coolest one, and this one was cool because this guy came and seen me in the shop. Guy came in a year ago, and his name was Abdullah. He's from Saudi Arabia, and he wanted to buy choke tubes. They have, he sells choke tubes over there. And super cool guy, but it's so funny, man. And forgive me if I don't know what it's called, but their robes they wear.
Right.
They're out there shooting pigeons with them robes on, and I mean demolishing these pigeons. Like, it is the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. They're out there in their turban and everything, just kaboom, kaboom. It's like the coolest thing. So
I watch them when they going across the deserts and them sand dunes and stuff, and I'm like, man, that is some crazy stuff.
and like and I mean they kill like ducks and everything out there. Like,
Oh yeah, I follow some people on YouTube that's overseas like that, and I mean they are just massacring the ducks, and it's like,
it's awesome.
yeah. So I mean, it's crazy, and
Um,
and it's pretty cool that now that we got the internet that we can see all this stuff.
mhm. It was, and the other really cool one too was we was at actually a shot show 3 years ago, and Ukraine. Guy was from Ukraine, and actually right there in Kiev, um, where a lot of the attacks have been going on, for the past couple of years, and
Right.
pretty much. But this was before the war, struck off, and he came up to us, and he was a well dressed guy, kind of not really shy, but what's the word? He was just straight business,
Right.
and he was telling us about a store, and I cannot remember the name of it, man. And please forgive me. This was when Daddy was there, and doing everything, and I cannot remember the name of the store, but he ended up, we talked for a while, and he ended up kind of like getting a little bit more open. He started laughing and cutting up and stuff, and I will never forget it. He's like, we are best pro of Ukraine, and they make their own ammunition, they make their own guns. Like, it was amazing. Like, he put Bass Pro to shame. Like I was like, man, you were not Bass Pro Ukraine, you were the absolute wonder store of the world over there.
Wow.
It was really cool, and we had a really big, was going to do a really big business deal with them. Hopefully get a lot of shelters to them, and well, what happened. Um, Funny story about him though is after the war started off and they was bombing Kiev, pretty heavily, and he's right there, and or he's in the city, and my dad emailed him, was like, hey, we just wanted to check on you, make sure you're okay, and I can't remember what he said, but he's like, yes, I okay, his English, broken English. He's like, yes, I okay. Russia thinks they can take Ukraine in local defense organization, waiting to kill them all. It's like, that's a bad dude,
Oh, I guarantee you, there's probably some bad ones over there.
Anyways, cool story.
So, where is the shop located? I mean, I
We
know technically I know the address, but where's it located?
we are right here in Sylvania, Georgia.
And that's not like a big city.
No, not at all.
So for you to tell that story and that man to show up at the shop, when you started that story, could you imagine what that man was probably thinking when he was pulling up?
Oh yeah, and it's funny, and I've had a lot of people tell me, it's kind of like we're running out of an old tractor shed. I mean, it's wild. Between two fields, we're out in the boonies here, so that's the way we want it. But it's funny how people find us. It's pretty amazing.
I me and Jay got to hunt this year together, and I keep telling him like, dude, well, I mean, obviously y'all don't work on Saturdays and Sundays. I'm like, I got to take a day off and ride down there. He's like, well, you better look at the address because you may miss
it. He's not lying.
So I'm gonna pull up on the screen here and the series of chokes y'all have. So let me pull that up real quick. I had it pulled up and then my page went away. There we go. Technology is multiple screens.
Oh yeah.
So I guess it went to sleep or something. Who knows?
Yeah, I know. Look, I fight it every day.
And that's the bad part is, sometimes with this YouTube stuff, I got like my background's IT, like 25 years of IT, and you struggle with like what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna pull this up on the screen here. So let's go over each series of chokes. And I know that there is at least one new model on there that I am not familiar with at all, which is a big, which we can go ahead and start with is the tactical section.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a shotgun kind of guy, man. I love every single shotgun there is, but I'm not into tactical stuff. But that is a big group of people.
Yes, it is. I mean, enormous.
I mean, you start talking M1, M2, the especially the M2s, and people like are big into them M2s.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about each series here. We got the tactical, so that's something new. Let's talk about it.
So the tactical is brand new, and and honestly, man, I couldn't tell you much about tactical guns. I've been, in the hunting industry my whole life. But how we got the idea to do this was about a year and a half ago now. A feller by the name, he's got a YouTube channel. It's OG Danger Show. He did a review on my buckshot choke out of his tactical gun. It's 1301, and I'm telling you, it is so amazing. And it did great, of course. I have gotten more references from that video than probably anything I've ever seen.
Really?
I know I've had over, if I could count all the emails referencing that video, if I could count all the phone calls referencing that video, I would say it had to be over 400 people.
Right.
And I'm still making buckshot chokes currently, because of those guys who want, for these tactical guns, want buckshot. Now, the thing about my buckshot choke is, a lot of these guys want to run slugs.
Right.
Cannot run slugs through a choke that tight. So it was kind of just an idea, we actually had a guy between OG show, and we have a guy who was in Sylvania. Actually, he worked security at the local high school, and he used to be like special forces. I don't know what he was, but he was like bad dude, and somebody you don't want to mess with. Anyway, and he was talking to my uncle. He's like, he wanted a breaching choke, and he's been asking for a little while, and it's one of them things. I am a very big, I'm very big in the industry, but I'm a small shop. So whatever the season is, whether that be waterfowl, turkey, et cetera, I'm running straight waterfowl, straight turkey, during that time of the year. So, getting time to run some different stuff is, it gets a little tough sometimes. So
right, because the machines take a while to set up.
Yeah, and it's funny. We've gotten, me and Luke really, like I say, I used to do it, but he's the brains behind, I don't know what we do. If I didn't have Luke, I don't know what we do. I could run it, but as far as he's the mechanic, he fixes everything. My uncle's so good because he's hard headed in a good way. So if there's something to fix, he's gonna kill himself to fix it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but anyway, so we finally made him one, and it worked great. So we kind of got this idea. I'm like, well, tactical. We're kind of really big into tactical. We may as well just come out with a breaching choke. So that's the fruition of that one.
And I would pull these pictures up. People probably wondering why I can't pull them up. We are live, so if I pull up chokes and videos and pictures like that, it gets demonetized, and then they start yelling. Then they take the video down. And once they take the video down, y'all won't learn anything or see anything. So, hence why I can't pull up pictures of the new choke, and we can only talk about it in reference. But that's how lives work. So, the next one is the turkey choke. Let's save the turkey choke for last because I know you're a big turkey guy. Let's put turkey last. So let's go duck. The high flyer.
Probably still my number one selling too. Buckshot is catching up. I'm not
Really?
gonna lie to you. Buckshot is. I don't know how buckshot is catching up to it, but that's still to this day my biggest selling too.
So in the high flyer series, is it just high flyers and then the duck dynasty, or is that both? Is that just one together?
So as far as that's my vortex line.
Okay.
My vortex line is the duck commander the signature choke. And we'll get to that one in a minute.
We'll
But the
get to
high,
that one then.
yeah,
I
the
knew
high
it was there.
flyer.
So the high flyer is porter, right?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Okay. So them come in mostly waterfowl season. Then you got vortex, which is not ported.
Yep. And
So I know somebody already asked a question in here. It says, difference between factory extended modifies and then kick chokes. So is there a difference between just flush mount and extended chokes? I mean, everything I shoot is kicks, but I prefer extended chokes just to start with.
mhm. The benefit of an extended choke, it's and this is not rocket science or anything, but when you take a longer parallel, and when I reference a parallel, that is the tightest, that is the constriction of your choke. So with a flush choke, you got the end of your barrel right there. If it's a taper style, it's going to taper right there to the end, and that little bit at the end of your barrel is what's your parallel. That's the tightest the choke tube will get.
Right.
So the main benefits of an extended choke is you extend that parallel by inch and a half. Mine's usually about an inch and a quarter, inch and a half. So if it's going to be tighter. If you run that shot strain through a tighter choke for a longer period of time, it's going to have better performance.
And I point out, I don't even know how many times I've made videos of breaking out with the micrometer. And he was talking about a factory chokes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there are some factory chokes that are pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But what I have seen is when we're just going to say brand A, they make so many shotguns that you can take 5 of their mod chokes and none of them are measured the same.
I agree.
I mean, I've done videos on them, and I tell people all the time, you need to test them. Just because your buddy's shooting the mod, don't mean you're going to be shooting the mod. Like, they are not consistent at all because them companies are spitting them chokes out so fast.
Agree.
So, that's another thing that just over factory chokes. So the next one you got up is the uplands. Them are painted orange on the end, aren't they?
Correct.
And is that just mostly just for people hunting so close together? Was that the background? I'm in South Carolina just as much as you're in South. He's a traitor to us, y'all. We'll get to that later. He was a South Carolina boy. Now he's then became a Georgia boy, which is understandable with the company. But when I say a South Carolina boy, he was he was living in South Carolina. But we don't see pheasants. Like our pheasants are cage raised. Now we do have quail, but our quail is not what the quail we used to have 20, 30 years ago by any means.
Yeah, and that's kind of going off, not off topic, but on on a rant or chasing squirrel on that. My dad always said that my dad loved to quail hunt. Daddy loved to quail hunt. And it's a shame, man. I actually am lucky. I actually live in between Millhaven and Wade Plantation over here, and they turn out a lot of birds. And I think a lot of them's wild. And I actually hear them around the house a pretty good bit. Now,
Right.
South Carolina, no, man. And it's sad, man. Because that was a used to be a tradition. Now
Oh
you
yeah.
can't find them anymore.
Yeah. So talk about this upland choke, because I honestly, that's one choke probably. I got most of these chokes on this list, and the upland is not it. I mean, it would be a waste of the metal for me to have an uplands choke, because I wouldn't know what to do with it.
Well, man, I got a lot of duck guys who's been using it.
Really?
Really, and every duck guy, they people tend to like it. It's a mixed. Dare I say mixed? I got guys who think we're crazy for doing it, and then I got guys who love it. Um, I don't know if there's really in between, but
Right.
that was the last choke. My dad, that was my dad's idea. That was and I actually finished it up for him. He passed away before it got to see the fruition of it, unfortunately. But that was our take in the upland market. Upland market is, as far as everything else is considered, it's a small, it's a small market, a niche market. But there's a lot of guys who do it, and they are loyal.
Oh
They're
yeah, and it's
great
probably
guys.
it's probably one of the bigger money
Yeah,
also.
they're great guys. So that just came about. I don't. We had a Cerakote guy doing some Cerakoting for us, and he just painted one orange. And Dad was like, "Man, that's pretty cool." That'd be a cool upland. Like because you got to wear orange, and
Right.
anything as far as upland game, you got to wear orange. So that was the idea behind it. Now, I get a lot of questions about this all the time. Um, ever notice that toy guns have orange tips?
Right.
Did have to research that, but it is perfectly legal. And there's I don't really think anything about that. If I've got like I say, it kind of gets some people ask about that, but there's you ain't got to worry about nothing. But it's that was how that kind of came about. Just thought it would be cool.
I always when I see it and see the chokes, I always thinking, safety kind of, you can see it stands out. You can see where it is.
And that I mean that's great too. That's just one of the I guess benefits of having it.
All right, so the next series is the butt kicker, and I have done some shooting out some butt kickers, and I've took plenty of deer with them. That is a pretty daggone good choke.
Yeah, man, that's my second top best selling choke, and it's really catching up to waterfowl. It is. I'm still making buckshot chokes, which has really never been happened before. I'm usually not making buckshot chokes this late in the year. Still making them. Still selling out of them.
You know, I don't live. I'm in the county, but I still hunt on my land. I don't feel comfortable shooting a rifle because there are houses in the area. You know, a shotgun will, take down a deer easily.
Easy.
And in today's ammunition, especially with some of this TSS deer loads, I mean, stone cold knock them. You ain't even having to go look for them. They right there where you pulled the trigger.
Mm-hmm.
And I think shotgun is making a comeback, especially in South Carolina. I think this year duck hunting, I saw a lot more people running dogs than I have in the past years.
Oh yeah. Um, I'm from over there, and that was always one of my favorite things to do. Was run dogs. It's fun. It's awesome. I
Yeah,
will tell you where as far as the capital of the dog hunting world is Virginia.
really.
I'm telling you, it is so funny. I do the Green Top Expo up there, and it's a big store, cool store. Um, but I do the expo, and I'm telling you, everybody, no lie, everybody in Virginia knows who we are.
Like
Um,
mountains of Virginia.
Yeah, oh yeah, man, they all over
Man,
Virginia.
if somebody's running dogs in Virginia, I put them in the same category as them moose hunters
Yeah,
because
oh yeah.
I am not fit enough to be going up and down hills.
And me either, brother. The flat man kills me.
That's what I say every year. I'm gonna get fit before turkey season. And man, I sound like a Peterbilt coming through the woods.
I don't give myself the opportunity. I just fight through it. You know, I'm a that's. I mean, anyway, we'll get on that, but that's this nonstop adrenaline pumping through me. So I just run on straight adrenaline pretty much.
So I'm shocked that's the second top. That was one of my questions of which one would be, how what's the top sellers, and I am kind of shocked that the buck chokes is getting that high up.
It shocks me. But there's
So
a
so
lot
that
of.
means y'all duck hunters and turkey hunters gonna have to pick up your load.
That's right. Um, that and it like I say it's kind of shocking to me. But a lot in today's world with rifles, a lot of places are banning rifles.
Yeah,
Um,
I can see
so a
that.
lot of guys are moving to shotguns, and you can, it's with today's technology. Now, what I do is old school choking technology. It's
Mhm.
it's been around a long time, but I bring a consistent product to the table. I bring a very good aftermarket option to the table, and it's work tried and true. And if you got
Right.
old buckshot rounds, and a lot of like with the buckshot, like what really a lot of tactical guys would tell me, they were shooting federal flight control, and getting good patterns out of it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Now, if you run a federal flight control through my porta tube, it's not going to do as good, of course. But you can take your old school buckshot, just your regular copper coated double alt, and turn it into a real nice tight pattern, like you're paying the money for flight control.
I got you. So the next one I can say I don't know much about would be the predator side of the chokes, the howler ciliaries.
Mm-hmm. The predator, the howlers, really, I still make a few. I don't really make many of them anymore, and the reason is because I got two options in howlers. I got a howler L and a howler H, and those are one of the ones I don't really make too often anymore. It's not a big market, but a lot of guys run my butt kickers for it.
Right.
So like a howler H and howler L, is some a butt kicker light full will be a howler H, and a butt kicker extra full will be a howler L. Um, so they're really the same choke tube, and I'm making butt kickers constantly. So, if somebody calls and wants me to howl, I just send them a butt kicker.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So the next two series is typically what I shoot the most of. I shoot a lot of the vortex. That is typically majority of the time. That's when I'm waterfowl hunting. That's what's in my maxes. And we've talked about it before through text messages and stuff like that. I like the porta chokes, but when I'm trying to record out of my shot cams, the fireball gets in the way of the shot cam because obviously the fireball is coming right in front of the
Mm-hmm.
camera, and I'm trying to record, ducks. So that's why I typically shoot the Vortex series.
Mm-hmm.
So how long has the Vortex series been around?
Mid 2000s. So, interestingly enough, how the vortex came to be about, and if I wasn't part of kicks, I was still like a porta choke. you know, I could take a non-porta choke, and it throws great patterns. You can take a porta
Mhm.
choke, it throws great patterns. There's a big debate between porta does better, or excuse me, non-porta does better, porta does better, or vice versa.
Right.
There's always a big debate with that, and and a lot of it, what it comes down to is whatever your gun likes.
Exactly.
Whatever.
And I say that all the time. You need to find the choke. Sometimes the mod works better with this ammo, and improved cylinder works better with this. And
Mm,
that's one of the reasons I started, you know, putting my videos out there. You know, I can go back and look at these videos. There is some ammo that likes this particular constriction. And once you get them, you marry them together and you never change that.
hmm Yep, that's right. Um, but and that goes for everything, especially, back to the buckshot side of things, especially on the buckshot side of things.
Yeah.
Man, and I use this story all the time. I've had multiple times 2 identical guns come to the door, running the same ammunition, running the same choke. And they do something completely different. It's I always tell people it really depends. Have you ever heard the expression, "Oh, that's a Friday," like a vehicle or something, or a
Right.
gun. That's a Friday gun. That's a Monday gun. So it really is true. That baby was put together on a Monday. It's probably gonna shoot better than a Friday gun.
Yeah.
It's crazy as it sounds. That's how it is. But the vortex came about. You know, where I was getting with the ported and non-ported. I make ported choke tubes. I've always made ported choke tubes. My ports are there to strip your wadding. Of course,
Right.
give you reduced recoil. That's just one of the benefits of having a ported choke. My ports are there, and they're designed the way they are to strip wadding. Hence why flight control wads don't do as good to them. So back when, now we known this getting the duck commander. We had known Phil for a while before this, mid '90s, I'd say, and he'd actually been shooting our chokes originally, and so make a long story short, the show came out. We got a sponsorship with them, and that's what put my waterfowl line really on the market. So fast forward, Federal came out. Federal was sponsoring, and they came out with the new original Black Cloud flight control. And the problem that guys are having with the original flight control wad is the slits in the wadding. They were pretty big. So when people was running them through a ported choke, the ports on the choke was catching the wad.
Right.
Find another shot, see what would happen.
Yeah.
So, and I remember, Daddy talking about it. I was little, but I remember Daddy coming home and saying, "Yeah, I talked to the guy from Federal today." The guy from Federal, cannot remember his name at the time, called Daddy, and it was like, we got this ammunition, we're trying to do good. Is there anything we can do, to get them to work through these choke tubes? And Daddy was like, "Yeah, we just won't pour a high flyer and send it to you," and that's all it was. We just didn't pour any high flyers. Send it to them, worked great.
That's crazy.
Yep.
And a lot of duck hunters still talk about them wads, and they have done away with them wads for years.
Years.
But people still find boxes of them with the old wads.
I got like the whole case full still at my mom's house.
Wow.
Of the old original stuff.
Yeah.
I shot a couple boxes out of it, and I was duck hunted, but I wasn't a big duck hunter by any means. So I still actually have a lot of it at my mom's house. So if anybody wants the original flight control, the original Black Cloud, hit me up.
That powder probably done seen his better days. You might be better. You might be better off. It's a thing that people collect boxes. Like, I got some pretty old shotgun boxes. You need to put them boxes up for another 20 years, and people love old shotgun boxes.
Oh yeah, they probably be worth some money. I don't know how the new Black Clouds are, but this has still got Phil's face on them and everything. The original, the old. I mean, it was the first run of them. So
wow.
you may be right. Like I say, maybe one day I may be worth something.
Maybe that's what you need to do. Take the boxes and do a special run of when you buy a choke, you get a box.
Man, that'd go fast. I don't think I got that many boxes left. But
it'd be a collector's edition.
I mean, it's just taking up space in my. Well, excuse me, it's taking up space in my mama's stuff now, and that's a problem.
Yeah. So the smoke series, I shoot a lot in skeet shooting. So talk about the smoke series.
So really, smoke series is pretty straightforward. That's just as far as any tube you get from me, design wise, with my porting, stays the same. Nothing really changes with that. These are just my regular lead mark choke tubes. I make anything from a negative to some guns, always all the way up to a 40 thousandths, which is an extra full. I've got all the in between constrictions. pretty straightforward with that one. It's just your standard lead mark choke tubes.
So beginning, we just coming into this year, so I almost said this year. So last year I got one of the card shooters, and a lot of people don't know what card shooters are, and I was ready to make a video. So a card shooter, typically in South Carolina, we would call them turkey shoots.
Correct.
You know, where you're not actually shooting a turkey, you're shooting a piece of paper. That's where the card shooters come from, and a lot of fire departments, different organizations do that for fundraisers, and that's where I got one because we have a local fire department that raises money for baseball. This year they didn't even do the turkey shoot, and turkey shoots typically around us start around Thanksgiving. You know, people are in town. You always Thanksgiving eating. That's usually when they have turkey shoots. It's basically it's a crosshair on the paper. Whoever gets the one pellet closest to the center usually wins some type of meat. So talk about the card shooter. What's the background on that?
You know, it's a funny background. I always, you know, we used to do some custom stuff back in the day. I don't really do it anymore because I can't keep up with what I got.
Right.
Bless him. But you know, a lot of guys are just wanting a paper target choke, and so we started making them. It's not really too interesting in the story of how that one came about, but basically what they are, as far as if you get one of my card shooting chokes, you know, all my Goblin Thunders, it says GT, and then you got your constriction, whether that be a 675, 670, 665. Well, the card shooter choke still says GT, but the constrictions I'm making that are a 680, a 650, and a 640. Right. 640 is the tightest choke tube I make. I mean, you are down to pretty much a 20 gauge bore at that point. And when I say that, you know, and like a lot of these choke tubes, and you know, like buckshot, like Goblin Thunderline especially, there's only certain shot sizes you can run to that. Like
right, and it's wrote on the back. So if you forget, it is wrote on the back what is recommended on that.
Correct. And what kind of while we're touching on that, you know, just for people's knowledge, my dad gave me a great analogy back in the day. You know, when you overchoke something. Picture a garden hose with a spray nozzle. And you spray that baby down, and you get a good, nice, tight stream, and you go a little bit more, and it blows back out.
Right.
Same thing happens with a choke tube.
Yep, exactly.
And so that's why I like when you're looking for let's just use a turkey choke, for example. That's why it's really based off of what shot size you use, because a number 9 shot size is going to take a different constriction than a number 5 shot size would. Now, not saying like, you know, let's say a number 5 is going to take a 665 and the number 9 is going to take a 655. You can still get a good tight pattern out of that 665 just because you're running bigger pellets through it. You know, it's not, you know, that's a lot of people don't, you know, grasp that, I guess, you know, because they think, you know, tighter you go, the tighter pattern. But
exactly. And you know, I talk a lot about that in my videos. You know, people always talking about duck hunting. Man, I'm getting an extra full on these. Like, you're probably shooting steel. Well, come to the world of TSS, and you're going to be back over here in the improved cylinder side, which is hard to explain to somebody. Hey, you really don't need a tight choke because this TSS does not like to be tight. You tighten it up, and you're going to, like you said, you're going to blow that pattern so far off the paper, you can be like, this is a terrible choke. But TSS does not like tightness.
Yeah. Now, as far as like turkey load, you can with the TSS. Now we bring it up. It's you can tighten TSS pretty good down. Now, duck load, duck stuff, it's different. You know, we need to differentiate. Golly, I cannot say that word.
Our species.
Thank goodness, y'all gonna be worried about me over here. But yeah, you know,
we could stop right there for a second. There is no grammar check on this channel because Southern language, we just make up words sometimes.
Look, I agree 1,000,000%. Yeah, so that's exactly right. So and that's good knowledge to have when you're purchasing a choke tube. And of course, you call me, I'm gonna get you pointed in the right direction. I've had to do that with a lot of guys. They won't like I wanted actually to turkey hunt with was a 640 not too long ago. And I'm like, man, you're gonna be doing better shooting them with a skeet choke than you are with that thing with what shot size you run.
Right.
But yeah. So it's good to let folks know because I do this every day, and it's very simple once you get an idea for it. But walking into it, especially with all the different choke types, all the different restrictions, it's intimidating. I do it every day, and sometimes I still have trouble. So,
So the TI, that's probably like probably the upper end of the price range, ain't it?
yes,
Because it's titanium, right?
correct.
So what's the advantage of it?
So the titanium tubes, dare I say, it's a niche or small market. Because you're not, as far as patterning wise, smoke versus titanium, they're the same constrictions. You're not going to gain anything on the patterning side of things by switching to a titanium over a smoke choke. Where the titanium comes into play is for these guys who are shooting pigeons, shooting ZZ bird. I don't know if you know what ZZ bird is, but very fun. Very fun, by the way. Bronson Bridge actually has a ZZ bird set up. But it's, how pigeon shoot works. Let's just go with old school pigeon shoot. Pigeon flies out. You got to shoot that pigeon and make him land in that ring before he gets out of there. If he gets out of that ring, you shoot and he falls out of that ring, that's a lost bird. Doesn't count. Same thing with ZZ bird, except it's not using real pigeons. So those guys, they want as light as they can get on that front end so they can pick it up faster. Now, this is just my opinion. People think I shoot sport and clays a lot. I shoot sport and clays once a year. That's it. Don't ask me to shoot. People expect me to shoot good. They are going to be highly mistaken. I promise. It takes me about 3 to 4 boxes to kill 15 doves. I'm not a hot shot by any means. Now, Granddad, on the other hand, he would go to a play course and shoot 99 out of 100 every time. Just dead eye. Masterclass. So I can't shoot, but I don't shoot enough, to where you already, you probably isn't going to feel a difference. To be honest with you, it's going to be very small. Now these choke tubes are really, really light. Feel like they're going to crumble in your hand. You can definitely tell the difference between choke tube. I honestly think it's more of a mind game. If you go into something thinking you have an advantage and confident you do have an advantage, then you got an advantage.
Right.
Now a lot of these guys I talk to who buy them, they just like, man, I can feel the difference on the end of my gun, and that's great. And I could be telling you completely wrong. That's just coming from me, as an average, I guess, everyday. Consider me the average everyday Joe.
How much harder is that to cut?
Oh, it's a pain. Titanium is a pain. You got to run it at a lot slower feed rate. It's a pain. Thank the Lord, Luke's awesome. He does great. And he, again, I say, I don't know where it'd be if we didn't have my Uncle Luke. But he's a great machinist, and he knows how to make a quality product. So, but yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot tough. It definitely was a learning curve, because we never really ran titanium before, and 17.4, what I make my choke tubes out of, that's the hardest steel I can run without it being brittle. And when I say that, hardness doesn't mean toughness. When you run, if you get something so hard, it's prone to crack. It's prone to break. It sounds crazy, but it is. When you got like 17.4, it's really hard, but it can flex. There is give to it a little bit. So you can run this stuff, and there actually is some flex to it. You know, there's a little bit of give to it. So, like let's say you go and drop your choke tube. Some of these choke tubes you can bend right back. You drop something hard, it may crack.
Right.
You know.
And people don't understand how many different like models, and you were talking numbers of each metal, like aluminum. You got different types of aluminum, you got different types of stainless, different types of titanium, and that's the same way with TSS. TSS, we used to have 13, now we got 15, now we got 18 grade titanium TSS for shot size.
Mm-hmm.
They all work, they all got a different purpose.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
So the last one is the turkey chokes, and then I know the Turkey Federation is a turkey choke, so I'm not going to say that one's by itself, but it is by itself because it's got the turkey logo on it. But let's talk turkey chokes, since you don't like to hunt turkeys.
Yeah, no, man, I can't stand them. So the turkey choke was really what put me on the market back in the day. That was the start of it all. Was turkey. Um, as far as has anything changed since that day? No. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I've been making a quality product for 30 years. Been very blessed. Like I say, they're no different. As far as material wise, they're no different. I mean, everything's the same on them. But so my turkey line, let's just start with the NWTF line. The NWTF line is Goblin Thunder. It is the Goblin Thunder choke tubes, except it's my tightest TSS constriction, and of course it's Cerakoted a different color. As far as design wise, as far as everything numbers wise on that choke, exact same as my Goblin Thunder choke. So Goblin Thunder wise, I make them in everything. I make them for 12 gauge, 20 gauge, 10 gauge, 410, 28, 16. Make them for everything. And 410s, I've been turkey hunting with a 410 for 5 years now. That's all I take to the woods anymore. I love it. But I make a bunch of different constrictions as far as 12 gauge goes, depending on, and this plays a big factor in this too. And I kind of want to, touch on this a little bit. Different bore sizes in your gun. So I'm just using a Browning like a SX4, a Winchester SX4 for example. That's what I'm going to use. And Beretta A300. So those guns have got different bores. That Winchester SX4 has got a 743 bore. That Beretta A300 has got a 723. So, and the reason I'm bringing this up is let's say I'm running I'm running Longbeard XR number 6s through both of them. There's going to be different constrictions for both of those guns. Still a 12 gauge, still running the same load, but like for A300 it's going to be 665, and then for your SX4 it's going to be like a 675. And I wanted to touch on this because RD, I could have my A300 and you can have your SX4, and we'd be turkey hunting together, and it's like, well, why do you have a 665 but I have a 675? That doesn't make any sense. Why wouldn't we have the same constriction because we run the same load? When you get to these bigger bore guns, we're still choking it the same amount.
Right.
You go from A300 to a SX4, it's still choking it the same amount. But those bigger bore guns like to be underchoked, and dare I say underchoked because it's really not, but underchoked compared to a smaller bore gun.
So funny you bring that up and talking about bores. This weekend I got a video coming out. It is with something that I never shot on this channel. It is a 10 gauge. And it is some Salt Creek ammo. It is 10 gauge, 3.5, 3 ounce of number 9 TSS. And when I tell y'all, it's got 1,000 pellets in this one shell. It's got 1,000 pellets. And it was a borrowed gun, and the guy came over, and lo and behold, guess what kind of choke it's got in it? A 10 gauge kicks. And I wanted to measure. I show it in the video. So Saturday we're just going to talk about the ammo. Sunday comes out with the video, and wait till y'all see this kicks choke. the the sidewall probably has a name, but I'm gonna call it the sidewall. Looks like that sun gun is a 1/4 inch thick.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that sun gun is a beast of a choke. And when I pull that trigger on that 10 gauge and you watch that TSS perform on that, it was like they were married together from the get-go. I mean, it is unreal. So if y'all watching this, wait till this weekend, you're gonna see some 10 gauge and a 10 gauge kick turkey choke. And I'm telling you, I had never seen a choke that big.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And it's funny too that you bring that up. How big the 10 gauges are. The Mossberg 835 Ultimate or 935, 835, just Ultimate. That's a 10 gauge bore. So you get it's a 12 gauge, but it's a 10 gauge bore. So the choke tube on that thing is massive. I mean, it is massive. It's a 10 gauge. It's pretty much a 10 gauge choke. Just constricted down to 12 gauge, which as far as the tightest 10 gauge I make, it's pretty close to my 12 gauges. So like the tightest 10 gauge I make as far as turkey load, if you're gonna be running like 9 TSS, is 690, really tight. I mean, it's a tight for a 10 gauge. With the Ultimag, be a 670. So they're big chips. I mean, if you wanted to take it out and throw it at somebody, hurt.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, that's what I talk about. I'm like, I mean, it's like screwing in like a Coke can or something. I mean, it was massive.
Oh yeah.
I know one of the topics was, talking about choke tubes, but what is one brand or one, maybe not brand, but like Browning is Invector Plus, and then you got your Remingtons, you got your mobiles. Which choke every time that comes onto the press, you're like, I hate this kind of choke. What is that choke?
That would definitely be a question for Luke. The E35s is one. Those are
835.
because, like I say, you're running a 10 gauge bar, you're having to machine it down. It's a lot of material waste. That's aggravating when. Oh man, I could. This is a tough list. I mean, there's a good bit on there that are very aggravating to make. The Remington Pro Bores, the Versamax, those are aggravating. And really, to be honest with you, just not a good design choke too. A400s, Optima HP, thin wall choke.
Super thin.
Super thin. They're aggravating to make. Because they're so thin, and on those thin wall ones, the tolerance is pretty high.
Right.
Or excuse me, I think I said that backwards. Yeah, I think it's right, but there's a small tolerance on them. So they're aggravating, man. 410s are a little aggravating, but the 410s can slide because they're so cool. So.
so I know you talking about 410s, and I guarantee you, if you quit turkey hunting, I probably would never be able to catch up to you because you turkey hunted so long. But you now went to the 410. See, now I'm still on the 12 gauge because I need a big pattern because I don't see enough turkeys that I want to. Y'all 410 guys, y'all are trying to throw like ping pong balls at these turkeys. I still need the big pattern because my adrenaline's still pumping. I can miss by up, left, right. So I'm not that good yet. So I'm not into 410 yet.
It's nothing about that. And look, I hunted with a 12 gauge nonstop for. I got on the 410 5 years ago. I was 21. I started hunting turkeys heavily. I killed my first one when I was 9 years old. I started turkey hunting heavily when I was 11 years old. So I hunted with a 12 gauge for 10 years. Now you should have seen my little 40-pound self back when I was 11 years old. Carrying around that big old.
You ain't much bigger than 40 now.
No, not much. Soaking wet, maybe. Carrying around that big old, and my dad had a LA 390, and that thing still kicks me to this day. But the 410, and this is with any sub gauge now in the turkey woods. Now I still got guys who shoot 10 gauge, 3.5-inch number fours. I still got those guys. That's all they're ever going to shoot. Now pray for their shoulder. When somebody's digging up remains one day, they gonna realize, man, what did that guy do to his shoulder? But the sub gauges, in TSS with a lot of older turkey hunters, they're like, oh, man, it's making it a lot easier for people to kill birds, and it is, because you're getting really tight patterns.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the 410, it is so, I still cannot believe, and I'm not that old. I'm 27 years old. I'm actually going to be 27 in this month. It's so, I would never have guessed anybody would be taking a 410 turkey hunting and being able to shoot a turkey at 35, 40 yards with a 410.
Yeah.
Would have never imagined it. Never in my wildest dreams would have imagined that. And it's still mind-blowing to me today that you can do that because of TSS. TSS has changed the game so much. Now, I get a lot of phone calls, wanting to snipe a turkey out there, long ways. And you can do that with TSS. I'm an old school turkey hunter. I want that son of a gun as close as he's going to get, just because that's the fun in it. But whatever floats your boat, if you want to shoot one out there that far, happy for you. I'll be happy to help you out. Just because I want mine in there at 30 yards or 25, however close to get. I've had them at 3 steps before and missed. Trust me. Doesn't mean I'm gonna, not help you out. Like I say, there's a lot of guys wanting to do that. And look, I've been on those public land grinds, man, where, that birds be out there, last day hanging up at 60, 70 yards, man, you just want to try it. Now you can, because TSS, and you get, good technologically advanced, so to speak, ammunition. That's a fancy word. And you get my high quality choke tubes, and I mean, it's a deadly combination. You are able to reach out so much further than you would when you ever would have even dreamed of 20 years ago.
And there's so many chokes out there now. Like, at least like with Browning and Winchester and Vector Plus, you make one choke, they're going to fit the other guns. Like, how do you keep up with all these guns? Like, all these Turkish guns, and like, some of these guns that off the wall chokes, like you hear a whole new choke system. Like, where did that choke system come from? And the reason I bring that up is Jeff asked, very few manufacturers make chokes for, and I'm probably going to say that wrong, the YZ shotguns. Like, I think that's the Academy, the YILDIZ shotguns.
There's not too many. Probably the most sought after choke, or not sought after, but what people tell me the most, what nobody makes, is a CZ1012. I'm about the only aftermarket choke you can get for a CZ1012. There's a lot of guns, and that's what I was kind of talking about earlier. It is very, you're coming in, new into this, man. It is very intimidating because there's a lot of choke tubes, and I'm telling you, Beretta is the worst one, because I can tell you, Beretta has 5 or 6 different types of choke tubes.
Yeah.
And even like let's use a 686 or 687, for example. Some 686 and 687s, some may take a mold choke. Some may take a standard Optima choke. Some may take an Optima HP.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
And they are
the A400's got 2. You got the regular one, and then the Ultima. Yeah, so I mean, it's crazy.
So, as far as being a consumer, now granted, and that's what I was saying, earlier, I do this every day. I do this every single day. I've done it since I was, roughly since I was, about 14, 15 when I started working. It's tough for me, I mean, it is. But I will say, generally with Turkish, let's just talk about Turkish import shotguns. They're going to take one choke tube. There's the most universal choke tube there is a Beretta Benelli mobile choke. That is the most universal choke tube. Your TriStar is going to take that. Your
Stogers,
Super
Black Eagle 1.
Montefeltro is going to take that.
Yeah.
All your older Benellis, of course. But pretty much all your import guns, except for like Bacall or something, is going to take that choke tube. So that narrows a lot down right there. Gearson takes a mobile choke tube. That narrows that down a lot. Beretta is the most aggravating, and Browning's a little aggravating. And let me tell you why Browning's a little aggravating. Because you got there's three different, like let's just use like a Maxxis 2. That's going to take it Browning and Vector Plus. Satori, Browning and Vector Plus. 725 Satori and Vector DS. There's 3 choke tubes that Browning can take, and they're all labeled in Vector. We got a lot of letters in the alphabet. Well, y'all, doesn't really make sense why you name everything Vector, but you got a standard in Vector, which is your original screw-in choke tube. Mm-hmm. That was the first screw-in choke tube, was the original Browning and Vector, standard Browning and Vector. Then you got in Vector Plus, then you got in Vector DS. New A5s, like the old A5s, they take the standard and Vector. Upwards of 2012 new A5s take the in Vector DS. It can be very confusing. And so, don't feel bad. And I get calls every day about it. If you need to call, because the internet can lead you astray, there's a lot of, because there's different guns, that takes, different tubes. It could be the same model gun, like for Beretta, for example. The best thing you can do, you got a question, you give me a call or shoot me an email, and I can point you in the right direction. That is the most solid advice I could give.
Jeff want to know, did you make a choke for that Zide?
For the
Z, the YLDIZ.
The yield is, yes. I make, as far as what Academy sells, I don't know exactly what Academy sells. I believe they sell the HPS yieldies and the HPS Pro, I believe that's what it's called. But I make both of those. Okay. And I make standard yieldies.
In about 20 seconds, he'll get that. He'll hear the response and he can comment.
But yieldies will, if it's HPS or a Pro, they can take technically, there's 3 different types of tubes the yieldies can take. Now, the HPS tubes and that Pro is what I'm talking about. They are the same choke tube. Both will screw into the same gun, except the bore's different on one of them. One's a 725 bore. One's a 730 bore. Now, standard yieldies, that's generally what people have.
He said it was a standard.
Okay, yep. Standard's straightforward.
So there you go, Jeff. He's got them. So maintenance on chokes. I know so many people that put their chokes in and never take them out. I put some oil on mine, especially waterfowl hunting, because we are in the marshes. I constantly take mine out. When I go to the marsh, I take it out because I know that there's, especially kayak hunting, and that's what we mostly do is kayak hunting. And when you're paddling, there's water going everywhere. I take my choke out to let it dry out from behind. But and I ain't gonna tell you this because you're gonna know. But how many people always saying, you see on Facebook and stuff, my choke's froze in there. My choke, I can't get it out.
I've had quite a few. Now, granted, I'm the biggest hypocrite in the world. If you call me, I'm gonna tell you to clean the choke tube. Keep it clean, take it out, clean it. Especially, I grew up on the coast. I grew up right there next to Beaufort. Hunted marshland my whole life. Clean your darn choke tube. Take it out, oil it. It'll make everything a lot easier. Now, 17.4 does not rust. But what happens is your barrel rusts around that choke tube.
Absolutely.
Then you got a problem. I am the worst person in the world. I don't ever take my choke tube out or oil it, so don't listen to me. Like I say, I understand. I don't follow my own words, but it is very important. And a lot of times too, I've had a few occasions of this. If you got an old choke tube, like had it for years, guy called me probably about a year and a half ago was the last one I had, but said, man, I've had this choke tube for a long time, and Generally my stuff doesn't wear out at 17.4. But if you're running harsh load through it, over time it's probably going to get a little warm. Like let's say you're running high flyer extra full, shooting 3-inch double BB through it nonstop.
Right.
Yeah, it's probably going to, start wearing out, in some latter years. By that point, if it's done you good, just come buy another one. But anyways, had a guy call me, and he said, "Man, this choke tube just was patterned great. Had it for years. It's just not doing what it should be doing anymore." So I was like, "Okay, take it out. And if you got a black one, you got choke tube cleaner and all that kind of stuff. But if you got a black one, you can't run it in that because it's going to need to blacken it off." So I was just like, run it under some warm soapy water. Take you like an old toothbrush or something. If you and your wife are in a fight or something, you can take her toothbrush, clean the ports out in there. And and just clean your ports out, because all that, a lot of plastic,
Right.
get built up in those ports. So he did that, went back to shooting like it was like nothing ever happened to it. So maintenance is pretty important. It's low maintenance, but you need to consistently do it.
When I take mine, I got just a cheap eBay jury, one of them ultrasonic jury cleaners, and when I throw my piston in there for my maxes, I just throw my choke tube in there too, and it cleans out in them ports. Just like you say, it builds up that plastic and smut and everything else. Most of the time, mine's marsh junk that's done dried up in there, and that parts cleaner just cleans it, and it looks like a brand new choke every single time I take it out.
Yeah.
So, what is your favorite season?
That's a tough one, man. I'm just kidding. It's turkey all the way. I was put on this earth to kill a turkey.
Could you come up with a number of turkeys? Have you? And we were talking beforehand. You said that earlier you like calling them just as much hunting.
Yeah, that's and a lot of guys. It's not just me. A lot of guys have this philosophy. Now, don't worry. I enjoy pulling the trigger on them, but the fun about turkey hunting is the game. It's the game. You're in the game. You're trying to outsmart him. That's the fun part. That's what I enjoy doing. And that's every turkey hunter probably feels that way. It's not just me. It's now. Don't worry. Don't get me wrong. I like pulling the trigger. I'll pull the trigger on one in a second. But that's the fun part. Is the game. Outsmarting something. Just like anything. A lot of, and this is very true with everything. You remember the hunt. You remember the kill too, but you're going to remember the hunt more than you remember the kill a lot of times.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things on the channel that I like to show the most. Being from South Carolina, especially duck hunter, we are not. How many people have you said called you, "Hey man, I want to come hunt South Carolina for ducks"? Yeah, it's not that many.
Not many.
Not many. We're not a duck state. So, we don't typically have pile pictures. So I try to incorporate on my channel, South Carolina is a great hunting state on all the species, but it's about the friendship, us kayak. That's turkey hunting and waterfowl hunting is probably neck to neck for me, because waterfowl hunting, we can all go, we can talk, we can cut up, we can play. You can't talk as much turkey hunting. I know you can still be there with your buddy, but it's usually like two people. You start getting 3, 4, 5 people turkey hunting, it gets a little interesting. But duck hunting is totally different. And that's what you're talking about, the memories, the friendship. And I said that not too long ago in a video that I made. I'm like, you need to get out there and make memories, because your hunting buddy may not be here next year, and or your hunting buddy's here and you're not here. So, if you look at it, I'm a little bit older, and I know Jay and Jelson here, and they're older than all of us. If you really look at it, we really don't have too many more dove seasons left. We don't have too many turkey seasons left.
You don't. That's speaking of the friendship thing, I just got back from Florida, hunting with Hunt Club. I'm good friends with Philip Culpepper, and he's very, very blessed to call him a good friend of mine. He's the best turkey hunter in the nation, in my opinion. He is good. Maybe, hopefully, one day I'll be as good as him. He is, and that's the big part about it is, man, it's the camaraderie. I mean, that's just like let's, let me use, for example, one of the hunting clubs around here that I'm good friends with. And I go over there, and whenever they're cooking, usually I'll sneak on over there, and get in the crowd. But a lot of those guys, they don't even hardly hunt when they come down here. They just come down and hang out at the camp.
Yeah.
The memories and that was like my dad, and that was really tough. And when I actually went down, killed an Osceola last year, that was the first turkey, because my daddy passed away at the end of May, or May 9th, excuse me. And the hunting, turkey hunting for me, and this could be any hunting. It could be, waterfowl. This could be deer. That's my happy place. I buried my daddy on that Saturday. So May 9th, passed away. That was a Tuesday. I buried my daddy on that. Friday. I was hunting Saturday. I came back and went hunting Saturday. I actually took a kid from over there, next to you, from Charleston. Good kid. Didn't get it done. He was right there. Like I say, it's just came in behind us. Couldn't get around on him. That's typical turkey hunt.
Right.
But it's kept me out of trouble. That's all I care about. That's all I really honestly care about. Shoot, I remember prom night, back in high school. Everybody's usually going to a after party. Now, we was coming over here, me and a good friend of mine. We luckily had a place over here on Briar Creek, over here in Sylvania, Georgia, and my granddad had. I was very blessed to have places I could go. That was a big thing. A lot of kids weren't as blessed as I was, and a lot of people don't have places to go. Yeah. But like prom night, shoot, we wasn't going to the after party. We came over here and went to sleep, and we was turkey hunting the next morning. That's why I always had to go to school that Monday, because I never show up for sign in, because after prom, you had to go and sign in so you can miss school on Monday. Well, I was always at school Monday, or dare I say, was at school with my mom's listening. I was at school. That's my therapy, and but the camaraderie and the friends and the memories I made. I turkey hunted with Daddy, all the time. That was me and his pastime. And every time I killed a turkey, Daddy was my first phone call.
Right.
Send him a picture. And that hunt in Florida last year, that was the first turkey I killed since Daddy died, and it was tough. And I told Philip, beforehand, I was like, I'm gonna break down after I killed his turkey. And he said, "Don't worry, bud. I'm here for you." But just that's kind of off on a rant. But that's the fun in it. It's the camaraderie. I know guys, and luckily because I'm in the industry, I know guys all over the country. I actually got a guy opening weekend, Mr. my buddy RJ. He's coming down from Daggum, Virginia to come hunt with me. I got guys coming from Nevada. I had Rydell come from Nevada last year and hunted with me. I know, you meet so many people and who had the same values as you. That's what the good thing about the industry, because everybody's connected. Everybody has that passion. So you got something to bond over.
Right. You can put a group of hunters in a room together, and they can talk about something. Like, we can all relate to something.
Yeah. And I'm kind of in the industry now. The industry's changing, especially in the turkey world. There's a lot of criticism out there, and that stinks. There's a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? A lot of I guess traditional purist. Like a fan, for example. Using a fan. I've used one before. That's a last resort thing for me. I will use one, and I will stand here and say I will use one. I've killed turkeys with it. It's not a guaranteed thing. A lot of people think who don't do it. It is like, I show them a fan, they're coming. No, I fanned one last year, and I fanned a bunch of them. As I say, it's got a 10% success rate. But you got to know what to say too. Doing some fighting purrs, some whines in there. That makes a big difference. I've seen turkeys not care one bit about a fan, and then you hit that one fighting purr, that one little whine that they do, and their head, I mean, it turns them on. So there's, unfortunately, a lot of people don't understand it, and I get that, but this is my opinion, and there's a lot of criticism and it's moving into the turkey world, and it's in everything. It's not just ducks and turkey, but it's in everything. If you go out there, say you are, if you go out there and you kill your tag, and it is an illegal way, it's illegal on all confines of law. I'm gonna be so happy for you. I'm gonna be proud of you. I'm gonna be clapping, giving you high fives, and and I think social media has done that to a lot of folks. They can sit behind, they can sit behind a keyboard and type whatever, and that is a shame.
Absolutely, because we talked about this probably like 3 weeks ago on the channel when the new rules came out about turkey hunting. We brought it up because South Carolina banned fans.
Mm-hmm.
I have never hunted with them. I'm 45 years old. I would love to try it. Hey, there ain't no way my knees would support me crawling across the field. Like, I'm not mad at the guy. Heck, I'm jealous of him.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, them turkeys would run off with my knees cracking like they would crack across that field. That turkey would be like, what in the world? Broke knees is on that turkey. No, I get it. I understand it. We see that in the duck, the duck, especially with videos. People are like, oh man, you water swatting them. Well, isn't that what the decoys were for? I mean, that's the exact same thing that you're talking about. You just can't. Some people are grumpy. You just can't make them happy.
That's how it is, man. And I think a lot of it chimes down to jealousy.
Yeah.
And let's just go back to the reaping, for example. Like, I have never, I've never really done what's called a reap. I've never really, as far as, just got on my knees and crawled out of one. I've crawled. Now, I've never crawled all the way to one.
Right.
But, what I'll do, if I got a bird in there, let's say he's at 60 yards, let's say he's with a hen. Last resort, I will pull that fan out and make sure he sees it, and I'll start swatting that thing, and I'll, that's a bad example about a mouth call, and I have to tell you how to do it. Do that fighting purr, and he will come to me. Especially those Osceolas down in Florida, they are mean. Son, they are mean. They are territorial. I know just while I was there, after I killed my bird, daggum Ethan shot one at 2 steps. I've had him 3 steps from it coming in to tear me up. And that is, I've killed a lot of turkeys, man. I've called in a lot of turkeys, killed a lot of turkeys. That is the most adrenaline pumping way to kill a turkey. And kind of back to it. If you don't like that, that's fine. I'm not going to judge. I'm not going to sit there and judge you because you don't like it. That's fine. But like I say, there's unfortunately, as long as I'm killing mine or you killing yours in whatever legal way to law, I'm gonna be so happy for you. And it's just kind of seems lost. I believe it's still there. Just like I say, social media just kind of ruined a lot of things.
In the same way with deer, them deer hunters. Oh my God, it's easy to shoot a deer when you put corn out. Well, I'm sorry, you can't have corn in your state. In South Carolina, we can.
Yeah, exactly.
And at the end of the day, we got deer in the freezer.
Exactly. They at the end of the day,
you got turkey. You got a turkey sandwich. Yeah. I mean, that's how I look at it. At the end of the day, I ain't hungry.
Exactly. They're gonna eat the same. I mean, they're gonna eat the same. But yeah. So kind of off of that. But that's just kind of my opinion of it. And I see where they did. I do want to stay on one story though, because I was saying a lot of people think if they never done it, they think it's guaranteed. Like I just show them a fan, here comes 5 of them, just nothing to it. Yeah. Man, I found one last year on opening day. It was me and my wife, and got with his hen, and he was going away. I'm like, well, I'm gonna try it. I kind of picked up and I smacked that son of a gun. That son of a gun, he's in Alabama right now. That son of a gun kicked up the dust and ran the other way. I have it on film, and I need to put it out. I just kind of got in front of him, right there next to my wife, just to where he could see the fan, and I was on camera. I put the fan down. I turned around, just started laughing. I was like, that son of a gun's gone. He done been whipped before you.
Like people that goose hunt, they're running flags and doing flags. I bought a flag and tried to do it with some geese, and them about like you said, them geese saw that flag and was like, "What in the world is that?" And turned and went like, I was like, "Well, that didn't work."
Oh
I
yeah.
tried to do the flag, and boy, they turned. It could have been me, but they like you said, they were not ready for it.
Oh, it's like I say, man. That's the stuff you remember. Like that. I'm
Oh
still
yeah,
crack up about that. That son of a gun. I seen the dust come up off of his face. I mean, gone. He, like I say, he's probably in daggum California by this point.
I tell people they're like, what do you like to hunt? I'm like, I love waterfowl hunting, but turkey is probably right there neck and neck. And I say turkey hunting is like the hardest bird you ever hunt. It's just like utterly frustrating. You hear them on the roofs, and then they quit. They get up, hang up. You be
That,
so close, and you
oh
never
yeah,
see them.
they'll
I
make you
mean,
mad, and I'm guilty, man. I get mad over a darn turkey if I don't like being beat.
yeah,
It's like same thing with a shotgun pattern. If I will kill myself to get that thing a pattern right.
yeah.
Same thing with the turkey. I will get mad, son. You can ask my wife. Um, Golly, she'd seen me kick the dirt, just act stupid over a turkey. But like I say, I'm having fun. But I'll
Yeah,
get mad. I mean, I'll be aggravating, because. But that's what makes it fun.
yeah,
That's the hunting side of it. Yeah, I go out there and get a little angry, which I shouldn't do. But like I say, the turkey side of things, a lot of things has to go 100% correct.
yeah.
Um, it's got to be near perfect. I've killed some birds that none of them do what you want them to do a lot of times. Um,
But that's the whole
like
thing with calling. You're utterly trying to fake them out. You're trying
exactly.
to get them in, and they're trying to get you out.
Yeah.
I mean,
Um,
they typically, they want the hens to come to them, and you're basically trying
mhm.
to lure them in, and it's like
Mm,
reverse Uno cards.
yep. It was, and like just kind of a backstory on me and the turkey woods, and I would say, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say I'm gonna tell you probably 60 to 70%, at least my experience of the turkey woods, 67% of the turkey woods, you're calling a hen. I mean, that's what
Yeah,
you're doing. Um, a lot of times because there's a lot of hens. South Carolina and Georgia has no hen season. I can take you back there on a place right now that one of my good spots I like to go. There's one gobbler out there and he's got about 15 hens with him. Those are the ones. Good luck.
yeah.
So
Because them hens are going to be like, yeah, you know what, we're going over here, and they're going to pull him.
yeah. So like I say, 60-70% of the time, um, from my experience, maybe not your experience, but in my experience, I'm calling him. That's what I'm doing. I'm trying to make her mad. I'm trying to make her come
Yep.
in. But but like I say, in my experience in the turkey woods, I didn't have where I was growing up hunting. Unless I came over here, I didn't have much. Dare I say it, not much. I had 150 acres, which was a lot. I
Right.
mean, I
Yeah.
hated I even said that's not much because a lot of people only have that.
And I
Um,
said that in a comment in a video the other day. I'm like, I'm goose hunting on 100 acres. People out in Texas, 100 acres is absolutely nothing.
yeah.
But in South Carolina and Georgia, man, we're losing these big chunks of land quick.
Yeah, and a lot of hardwoods, and I ain't even gonna get started on that because I will get heated on that. Um, yeah, the hardwoods, man. And a lot of people are talking about turkey population declining, and they want to blame it on a lot of stuff. Man, I can tell you every swamp I grew up in South Carolina, whether that be on the Combee River, whether that be Daggum Lowndes Lake, whether that be over there at Corner Lake, they're all clear cut. They're all gone.
Yep.
Um, and a lot of people, or the guys who, people who's, kind of in charge of maybe DNR or something, like, man, that's got a lot to do with it. There's a
Oh,
lot
I
of people
agree.
moving in, especially in South Carolina, especially down there where I grew up, next to Beaufort. It is getting super populated.
Yep.
I mean, you're losing habitat. And of course, predators, that's a big one. Coons being the biggest, and a pig. I will tell you, I will go to my grave. You know, I like to hunt coyotes too. Killed a decent amount of coyotes in September this year. I killed 58 coyotes in September this year. I like to do that pretty good because it's the same thing as turkey hunting, except they can smell you. You just call them up. It's fun. But the coyotes kind of get a bad rep, in my opinion, because yeah, they do kill turkeys and they do kill fawns. But I'm telling you, a darn coon and a darn wild pig will kill more daggum turkeys than anything because they're nest predators.
Right.
You know, so between that, deforestation everywhere you look, they're logging somewhere everywhere. Yeah. I don't know if we're just gonna have to go back to using old corn cobs back in the bathroom or something, but we're gonna have to do something so we can keep some trees. You know.
I completely understand that because Jackson said fire ants too.
Yep, fire ants too, and that's what happened to the quail. That's big impact on the quail.
I mean, here in South Carolina, man, people, I don't know how them fire ants survived Noah's Ark and what the purpose of the fire ant was for, but man, that joke, fire ants they just something else.
Yeah, that, and I actually meant to bring that up earlier when we was talking about the quail. You know, that was one of the main reasons the quail, we don't have quail anymore because fire ants. So yeah, that was a great comment, Jackson. That is 100% true. I mean, they killed a lot. Yeah. But you know, like I say, I
mean, yeah, like how you gonna manage fire ants out in the you're not.
You're not.
What's
and it's unfortunate. I mean,
we need to get some of them fire ant eaters.
Yeah, let's do what that is what we need. But that's just unfortunate, you know. I mean, but you know, like I say, just unfortunate. You know?
So I already asked some form of this question. So we know 410 is your favorite gauge, probably. But what's your favorite gun?
Oh, you know, you would think I'd have a lot of shotguns. I do not. I've got 3 shotguns. My dad's old Beretta A390. So my dad, he got this back. It was early 2000s. It was the NWTF edition. It was actually the last one they actually made the trigger mechanism with all stainless steel components. That gun right there in itself has 50 turkeys killed from me. And I actually kept it notched on the side of it. It's pretty cool.
Wow.
You can't read. You know, it's kind of engraved. You know, Beretta is. It's kind of engraved on the side. Well, it's done and scratched. So maybe you think that's art or something, but I've notched it every time I kill one, and who knows how many killed before me with that gun. So it's seen a lot. So that's my favorite one. I don't have many. You know, you would think I would. You know, me being in the business that I am in, you would think I would have a lot of shotguns. I don't. But that would be my favorite.
So, what would be your favorite load? Steel, lead, bismuth, TSS?
As far as for turkey or anything?
Anything.
I'm going to have to go with Longbeard XR number 6s, man. I still like the old lead as far as 12 gauge wise.
Hey, them black box Longbeards are pretty tough.
I switched to TSS just to go to the 410. Right. Every turkey I've killed has been pretty much with Longbeard XR. Now, of course, not everyone. I was, didn't want to buy shell. I remember one time, funny story. I didn't have any more, and I was, 16 at the time, and didn't feel like going and paying for no shells. So I found an old nitro in my sock drawer from, like, I'm telling you, it had to be the 80s, and 3.5 inch. So, funny story. Went hunting down here actually on Briar Creek, as a matter of fact. Called 3 birds in, and I shot that son of a gun. I'm telling you, it felt like a mule kicked me. The gun went behind me, bounced, because I kind of had it. I was sitting like this, on the ground. I was sitting. It was an awkward position, so I had the gun kind of like this. Thing bounced off my arm. Turkey's over there flopping. I'm on the ground holding my shoulder. That was a fun one. That was probably one of my favorite turkeys I've killed just because of the mayhem with that. But the gun, I'm telling you, the gun probably went about 5 yards, 10 yards behind me.
And about on that topic, So, you know, I would shoot a lot of shells, different shells through different guns and different chokes, making content. And Jay sent me a text. He's like, "Hey man, I'm gonna send you some ammo, dude. These 3.5s, I don't shoot these 3.5s anymore. I'm gonna send them to you. Make some video." I'm like, "Yeah, man, I made some video." He was like, "They kick." Oh my dude, it is
Oh
the
yeah.
same. That's the same thing. You know, you don't see stars, but it's like you almost see stars.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about, and it's funny when with some of the guns that I've had to pattern the Mossberg 835. I no, like I say, realistically I'm 120 pounds soaking wet. I'm a small kid. Um, actually weighed as far as when I was in high school. Somebody me and them was talking about it. I think I weighed 80 pounds going in the ninth grade. Small kid. Um, and we was talking about it. I remember shooting like an 835 for the first time. And I will never shoot that gun again. I'm not man enough to shoot that gun again.
So you were talking sub gauges. 28 gauge is making a 28 gauge has been around for a long time. If you look up Remington 1100s, Remington, uh, the Sportsman, I think it's the 48, 4800, something like that. I mean, 28 gauge has been around a long time, but it is making a huge comeback.
Mhm.
How many 28 gauge chokes are you starting to make? You see an uptick in them?
Yeah, I do. I dare would say it's not as much as the 410. It's on the turkey side of things.
Right.
But as far as waterfowl and stuff, oh yeah, it's making a big comeback. And it, like I say, that's been with the past, 3 years, 2 years, that it started making a really big comeback. And 16 gauge too. 16 gauges because Browning came out with the new Sweet 16.
Right.
That one's gotten very popular again. We got a lot of people want choke tubes for those, and I do make them. I make buckshot chokes for them. I make waterfowl chokes for them. They say I got you covered on that one. But that's making a big comeback. But the 410 craze and that I mean that one never slows down. And a lot of guys, kind of touching on this or switching to the 410. And I talk to these guys, every day. There's a lot of older guys like me. I just did it because I was like, well, shoot, I'm gonna try to found my little. I have a little ATI 410 that's got about a 15-pound trigger pull on it. I'm not kidding you. Um, it's I know the first time I went to go shoot a turkey, I was doing that the whole time, with trying to pull the trigger, but just a little single shot, nothing to it. The reason people are switching to this is because they can take a 410 light, no kick, and be successful. That is the biggest draw to these sub gauges because they're a lot lighter. They don't kick as bad. A lot of these old guys, man, they've been shooting that old 835 their whole life. They don't have no shoulder left. They want to still get out there and be successful. So they're switching these 410s, and that's the good thing about TSS. You're able to do it. So
that's why I tell people with TSS all the time. Yeah, TSS. I use TSS waterfowl hunting, but TSS for turkey. I mean, yeah, it's kind of expensive, but here in South Carolina, you only get 2 tags. I mean, a box will last you 2.5 years, and
yeah,
the like you were saying earlier, the technology of TSS I mean, it is so much. Lead will still do it 100%, but you're bringing so much more to the game when you step up TSS.
right. And it's kind of since we talked more about a little bit more about the lead, like turkey wise. If you have a 12 gauge and you're not trying to shoot one out there past 50 yards, like I say, I don't, I like them as close as I can get them on them. I hate to say that. That's almost honestly saying like you're old school now, because a lot of guys are trying to get as far as they can. There's nothing wrong with that, I like getting them in close, and a lot of turkey hunters, majority probably want them in as close as they get. That's the fun in it. But if you call me, like if you called me and said, "Hey, got this 12 gauge. Let's just use a retake for example. This 12 gauge retake. Um, I'm either going to get Longbred XR number 6s or I'm going to get TSS. I'm not going to really be shooting past 50 yards. man, go get you a little box of longbeard. Because unless you're trying to absolutely get crazy with one, if you're shooting one under 50 yards, you don't need TSS. Longbeard lead Longbeard XR has been my favorite shell and has done phenomenal through my choke tubes for years.
Yeah.
You don't need TSS. Would I tell you to go buy the $80 box of TSS, or would I tell you to go buy Longbeard XR? Longbeard XR all day.
Yeah.
But shooting sub gauges, 28 gauge, 410, go get your box of TSS.
Yeah. And that's what I tell people all the time too. Waterfowl hunting. If they're in the decoys, still all day long.
Mm.
But passing shots here in South Carolina on wood ducks, but you better bring your A game.
Oh yeah.
And it's the same way what you're talking with the sub gauges. Yeah, you're going down in size, but you can jump. In lead, you're going to need a certain size pellet, but in TSS, you can go down to the 9s or 10s, and you're going to have more knockdown force also.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to tell people all the time about TSS, but yeah, if you up close, lead all day long, you up close with birds, waterfowl, still does the job. But what I tell people all the time, like we talking earlier, I'm going out to Texas, and we was talking about me wanting to go to Florida and stuff. If I'm going to Florida and I'm spending money with a guide and I'm getting a hotel and I'm driving all the way down to Florida, why would I buy cheap ammo?
Yeah.
Just buy. But then that's what I say in one of the upcoming videos is like, y'all gonna spend $100 plus on these turkey calls, but you're gonna still keep shooting terrible ammunition.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes it don't make sense.
Oh yeah. Yeah. 100%. And I see that in the choke tube world. You're
Yep.
paying for a choke tube, but still expecting. I've seen what would be called terrible ammo do great before. There's nothing wrong with trying it, but you're running the cheapest load you can get. It's probably not the choke tube.
Yep. Yep. I did last year. I did that whole series of buckshot. Like, spending literally $2 more in one box made a world of difference. Like, just and that's why I say TSS is a little bit different. You can't just go out there and play practicing with it. But I always talk about it. Fit your gun to the choke, to the shell, and never change it. Find one that works for you. It ain't gonna work for Jake. It ain't gonna work for Jay. What works for you, stick with it. Don't change.
Agree 100%.
Marry them together, and then it's gonna be consistent.
100%.
And I say that all the time.
And the good thing about me, and this is just kind of a plug, I guess. Me being local, a lot of guys come to see me. Good thing about coming to seeing me, bring your gun. I got a pattern board out back. I got all the choke tubes. We're gonna find the one that works the best.
Right.
So
you bringing that up. How can people get in touch with maybe not Jake, because Jake's now the front guy and working all the time, but how can people get in touch with Kicks? Like, how can they contact you? How can they websites? Like, what's the best ways?
Give me a call at my number. Honestly, cannot remember off the top of my head. Very goodness, I do this every day. That's a little scary, but just give me a call or shoot me an email at kicks@planters.net, and you're gonna be dealing with me. You email me, you're gonna be dealing with me. If you call up there's 2 people answer the phone. That's either me or Miss Teresa. If you want to talk to me, Miss Teresa's great. She can help you out too. But if you want to talk to me, just ask for me, and I'll be right there.
There you go. I mean, how many people can you say, hey, I'm calling the company and talking to the big guy? Well, he's not big. He's little. But you know what I'm saying.
Not a lot. It's and I've heard that before. Actually, a guy with my dad. We met some. Oh, it was my Cerakote guy. Met my dad at SHOT Show. He was part owner, and called up there and Daddy answered the phone.
Yeah, that's crazy. So, what social media are y'all on?
So I'm on Instagram and I'm on Facebook. Just on Instagram, it's Kicks Chokes. Under my Facebook, it's Kicks Industries Incorporated. Not too hard to find. I also am on YouTube, and I'm actually with this year. We're excited to do. We're actually going to do a lot of turkey filming. Got a lot of stuff in my past couple of years of doing it. If you're interested, like I say, go on over there, and we're going to be posting a lot here. A couple from Philip Culpepper, he's going to give us some old episodes, and some of my buddies up there in New York, Mountain Holly Game Calls, we're going to all be getting footage, and we all going to put it out on the Kicks page.
Sounds good, man. You know, I love putting on videos. I started about a week ago watching these turkey videos. Now it's just like, man, where's turkey season gonna get here? Gonna get turkey season. And I watched one of the videos this week of y'all down in Florida, and it's like, oh man, turkey season can't get here fast enough.
That is one of the bad things about going to South Florida. And I was telling, actually, Jay came to see me today, and I was telling him, I'm like, yeah, like it's great. Like I'm glad, I done got the first one out of the way. I'm got the early season jitters. You already got the first one. But you go hunt in South Florida opening weekend of March, you come back, you still got to wait a month for turkey hunt.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's terrible.
Carolina was April. So we still some time out.
Oh yeah, it's a long month to wait after you just did it in Florida, I promise.
So any shows coming up that you're gonna see Kick at?
As far as like trade shows?
Yeah. Or local shows.
There's gonna be one in Charleston. I think it's put on by Low Country Munitions. That's one of my dealers. I may be there. I know my Instagram guy's probably gonna be there and maybe sell some product. We've been talking about doing a Sportsman Classic. Typically, as far as what I do, I only do NWTF and SHOT Show, of course, and that's not a consumer show, but NWTF is really the main ones. But I think we're actually going to start trying to make it around maybe the Ducks Unlimited show out there, and I think it's in Texas. I can't remember exactly where it was.
I think it moves every year too, though.
I believe it does. I know it was in Texas one year when we was thinking about going to it. I go to Virginia to Green Top. That's a fun little one sometimes. Didn't make it last year. The hurricane kind of messed us up, and I got married that weekend, so that really put a wrench in my operation.
Poor girl.
So, but yeah, like I say, NWTF, and we may do a few local ones.
Right. So I talked to Jay beforehand. So we know you from South Carolina. Now you done moved to Georgia. And me and Jay was talking about it earlier this week. I know you went to Carolina, and Jay already know the answer, and it's going to let both of us down. I'm just going to go ahead and say that. It's going to let both of us down. So I asked him early on, Gamecocks or Georgia? So go ahead and tell us.
I'm a Clemson Tigers fan. 100%.
It hurts. It hurts. A Gamecock. You went to USC.
No,
you went to USC and then going to be a Clemson fan.
I went to USC. I did. So graduated in 2020. Technically, probably, I didn't go to Columbia. I did go to one of the branches, but I did do my classes for my last 2 years, with Columbia professors. So I did. I'm not a true, USC trying hard. See, I want to stay close to the house so I can turkey. That was it.
Right.
I did want to go to Clemson. Problem with me going to Clemson, I probably would still be up there. So I stayed close to where my mama could get the whip on me if she needed to.
I mean, just to be frank, I wanted to go to Clemson too because Clemson is a beautiful college.
Oh, it's awesome.
Financially, we couldn't go to Clemson, so but just to put that out there, I'm true Gamecock, but now, Clemson is a beautiful college.
Since USC is my alma mater, and sorry for all the Georgia fans in there, I will root for USC over Georgia any day. I apologize.
Take it, Jay. Take it.
So when this, since USC is my alma mater, when they're not playing Clemson, I will go for USC. So I feel like I kind of obligated to them. They did give me my education. I had a great time there, great school. Loved everybody there. So, like I say, but I am a Clemson fan. My sister went to Clemson. I was up there with her about every other weekend. So I did spend the majority of a lot of college time in Clemson.
So you were up on that hill where the volleyball nets were.
Oh, 100%. You know where I was at. And my granddaddy actually went to Clemson. So like I say, it's kind of in my bloodline. But my mom's the same way. God bless her. She went to USC. She's a Clemson fan.
Good woman. I tell you. So we've been on almost 2 hours. It's crazy. 1 hour and 50 minutes so far.
I told you I could talk. So,
is there anything else you want to talk about? Is there anything coming out of the Kicks stables?
Not that I haven't said. Just besides maybe trying to do a little bit more on the social side of things. Doing some hunting videos, which I've been always wanted to do. Luckily I've kind of got an idea of how a little bit more education about it since I have been going on TV and hunting with Philip and Realtree Spring Thunder. Been doing that a good while, and so I'm very excited. I hope we can bring you some quality stuff that you all enjoy to like and or enjoy to watch. Excuse me. So I'm pretty excited about that. Other than that, I think we about covered everything.
People don't understand how hard it is to edit all that footage.
Yeah, it's tough.
I mean, these days you got 2-3 cameras on one gun. Now that's a lot of data.
It's tough, and that's a lot of people too. I want to say because I was one of them, and luckily I've been able to go with these guys and figure out how to do it. What you see on camera, yeah, it is fun, but man, it is hard work.
Yeah.
Especially like I'm just gonna use Philip as an example. When you got you're putting out episodes he's putting out episodes pretty much every day right there in Florida now.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's a lot. You go get some content in the morning, you're coming back home, they're editing, putting shows together. It's a lot of work. A lot of people don't understand that. It's not, you're not just hunting, and you may hopefully big enough one day you got people to edit for you.
Right.
But you starting out, man, it's a grind.
And that's what we talked about earlier. Your daddy was with me from the get-go when I was down there below 1,000. And I told you earlier, we're really growing, and that's what it is, just dedication, putting it to it. We're at 22,000 now, and Kicks has been there with me from the get-go, and I greatly appreciate Kicks behind there. Mm-hmm. And but yeah, that content's hard, man. People don't understand it.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's a lot. Like I say, when I've already said it once, but you just don't understand. Like I say, you look at these guys and like, oh man, that's a great job, and it is a great job. You get to go hunt. You get to go hunt, but man, it is a grind. I don't know how like them guys do it. Because see, like I'm just using Philip as an example because he's a good buddy of mine. He'll be in Florida, go hunt Florida. He'll be back in the truck. He may be in Wisconsin, and he drives everywhere.
Yeah,
it's a grind, man, and I don't think I could do it personally. I'm just that's not my living. I'm just trying to, bring some of my turkey experience. That's what I love to do, and duck experience. That's what Joe loves to do, and he's going to be doing that. Like I say, it's a hard job. It's tough. I couldn't do it.
One of the things that I really enjoy about YouTube, YouTube's been around for a while. It's probably going to be around for a really long time. I can film a hunt with me and my buddies, me and my son. We can do the fishing. Well after I'm gone, they can look back on these videos. Somebody's gonna pass away. You're gonna look back on these videos and you're gonna be like, it's a memory thing, just like these taxidermist stuff, like your fans, the tail fans you got behind you. They're all memories. You look at it and be like, I remember where I was. So and so was with me. YouTube, you can put it out there. You can go back and watch it, and memories to come. Usually, it's funny stuff that they caught you doing. You'd be like, man, I can't believe I did that.
Well, look, man, I got a few of those. Probably there's a lot of those I cannot put online. I got a lot of those moments. But another thing too that I wanted to say is, and you're pretty. I mean, you do very well on YouTube. You know, it's what's the word? It's consistency.
Right.
It's you
Absolutely.
got to constantly be posting something. You got to
Absolutely.
Instagram, whatever. You got to constantly, and having all this content to post. And you know how it is. It's tough.
It is
Um,
tough.
I would get bored. I'm a interesting dude. I mean, I feel like I'm a pretty funny guy, but I'd get bored after a while. So yeah.
Yeah. And that's why I try to show the outside of South Carolina. There's more than just duck hunting. There's more than just turkey. There's fishing. I'm not a big deer hunter. It goes back to we can't talk in the stand. Like, when I take my son, it's like, shh, you gotta be quiet. I take my son duck hunting, hey, we can talk. We can eat.
Oh yeah.
We can eat Scooby snacks. Ain't a whole lot of eating Scooby snacks in the deer stand. But
Oh yeah.
I try to get out there and make video of that too, because like you said, if you only stick to one side of it, it gets kind of boring.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Like I say, it's just it can. Now, like I say, turkey side of things, it's like anything. Once it's on, it's on.
Oh yeah.
It could be sitting there boring. Sitting there, we're going to look for one gobble. I personally, a lot of people. It depends on if it's just me. If I know there's a bird there, I'll sit there on that turkey. Now, you come with me. I'm technically really a runner and gunner. If I know there's a turkey in front of me and he ain't gobbling, but that one's gobbling across the road, I'm going across the road. So I'm gonna go find that something. So,
All right. So if
like,
I ever come hunting with you, we're gonna have to take the run and hunt, and we're gonna have to modify it to walk and hunt.
well, look, whatever you want to do, I like just keep up. That's all I can tell you.
He looked back. Where'd RD go to?
You got the gun, and it was funny too when I was young, and I probably messed up a lot of turkeys doing this, but I did. I couldn't help it. I'd kill my limit back in the day, and luckily with me being over in Georgia, that's why I've been able to kill a lot of turkeys. From my young age
Yeah,
because
because
I
you're
could
right
hunt.
on the line.
I could hunt Carolina and I'd hunt Georgia.
Mhm.
And then I'd go travel somewhere to kill them. That's why I was able to kill a lot of turkeys in my life. That's just the ones I pulled the trigger on now. Great gunners, I've called up a bunch, but that's not me boasting or anything. It's just that's what I enjoy doing.
Right.
That's all. I live, I eat, breathe turkey hunting.
You
That's all
know,
I think about.
and then what you talking about calling? I found a roost pond duck hunting, and it was a roost pond for geese. And I waited to when goose season come in, and I went to this roost pond. Didn't even take my gun, and I recorded it, filmed it, and it's almost like you talking about turkey hunting calling. I just wanted to be out there with them. I didn't even want
Exactly.
to hunt. Geese are my favorite thing to hunt, and I couldn't even pull the trigger. It was just
Mm-hmm.
like I was mesmerized by these birds that just sucked me in, and
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to watch them.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. And I probably messed up a lot of turkeys doing this. I know I have, but it's years ago. And I got people who go hunt with me a lot now. So I usually taking somebody
Right.
and I wait. My limit. I usually fill mine. At the end of the year, if somebody wants to come duck. Like I said, and that's not. That's what I enjoy doing. But when I was young, I tag out. I would I'd be tagged out, but I'd go to the morning still call one, because that was the rush of it. I probably
Right.
messed up a ton of turkeys that way because they come in. I mean, once a darn turkey comes in on you, and you spook them, they're pretty smart. They'll get educated pretty quick. Now, me saying that, I've seen a lot of dumb ones too. More smart ones than dumb ones, but
You talking about dumb turkeys. Every person who hunts, they'll say if they're hunting eastern, they'll say, "Oh man, them Rios are the dumbest things ever." And people that hunt Rios, man, them easterns, anybody can kill easterns. It's how many times have you heard that?
look, I've heard that a bunch, and this is not boasting us. I've hunted a lot. I've hunted everywhere, and really the big guys who I hunt with who go all over and do it, they will all agree. Alabama, Mississippi, I think Mississippi, then maybe one of them, but Alabama, Georgia, and South Carolina is the hardest turkeys. Now, granted, you got to Texas, They may say those are harvest turkeys. Now, I was always under that impression that Rios, Miriam's ain't nothing to it, and typically, it's a lot different. Um, it's there's a lot more of them, so it is. I'm just gonna be honest. I mean, look, there's nothing tougher to me than an old backwoods Carolina or Georgia gobbler. There's nothing tougher to me. And I've hunted all over the country. And been very very blessed to say that. I'm very happy to say that. But there's nothing tougher to me than old Carolina or Georgia gobbler. Now you from Pennsylvania and say, man, I got the hardest turkeys up here. Man, that's I'm not gonna doubt it. That's just my opinion. But I went out to Texas, and I went out there with the wrong mindset. So I wish you luck. I went out there with the worst mindset. I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna be done in 20 minutes. Man, that was the biggest grind on a turkey I've ever done in my life. Now, granted, the ranch we went to done had 35 birds killed off of it, apparently. And they acted like that. Now, look, there was 2 birds left, and that son of a gun, you could have been a hen, and they wasn't coming to you. So we got it done, in the way I don't like killing a turkey is pretty much just bushwhacking him, but that's what I had to do. They would not, that's a good video. That's on Hunt Club. It was me and a guy his name's Chris Staten, but we call him Cheeseburger. So it was me, Cheeseburger, and Greg Thompson, and Bo, I got to tell it was lightning that morning. It was the last morning. We done been hunting 3 days hard in the Texas heat, tired, grinding, and not even hardly had a bird gobble at us. We were struggling. It was raining, lightning everywhere, Bo, and it was like a old, like pretty much a little cow farm we was hunting, and man, we had the idea. We knew what areas we were in. The thing about Texas is, you're going to find us out, there's nothing but sagebrush, and then there's going to be 3 big old oak trees on the place. Well, that's where they're roosting at. It's not too hard to find where they're roosting at. So we knew where they was roosting at. It was the last day. I had a plane to catch at lunch that day. So what we did, we had to sneak up there, and we had a ground blind. Not a ground blind fan either. If you hunt out of ground blind, that's great.
You stuck there.
I'm not a ground blind fan because I run around. I'm gonna find, that turkey ain't gobbling. I'm gonna go find another one gobbles.
Yeah.
Anyway, kids wise, great, but it was raining, pouring down rain, and we was walking through the cow pasture to get to them, and we had to cross a fence. And I remember it was pitch black dark, couldn't see anything. We knew that fence was coming up. We wait for lightning to strike, see where the fence was, go up because we couldn't turn on lightning. It was right there. Stop again, lightning will strike in. We go up a little bit more. Finally, we made it to the fence, crossed the fence, and we popped that ground blind up. And Cheeseburger got in that thing, and Fred Flintstoned it to the daggum side of the darn, right where they was doing it. And somehow got up there on top of them. I will never, this is a plan coming together perfectly. I never will understand how we made it up there because the rain's hitting off that ground blind. It's loud as crap. It's all on video. It's a great video. And, that bird is no longer with us. He flew down right perfect. First time, I feel like probably one of the first times ever turkey hunting, I did not even touch a call. Never called. I hate killing them that way. There's nothing wrong with killing them that way. I'm not saying that. That's just my opinion. I like the game. I like calling, and everybody does. But if there's nothing wrong with it. That's how we had to do it. And like I say, I had a plane to catch at lunch that day. So, but I got it done. It was old. I mean, it was soaking wet, raining. Didn't turn out too pretty in the picture. Did not care. That was one of my top 10 favorite turkey hunts, just because of I can still see old Cheese Fred Flintstone in that thing to the corner of that place. And man, I'm telling you, it was a memorable one.
You talking about lightning and turkey hunting? Last year I was hunting on some game management, and I got to the spot, and it was right. A thunderstorm was coming through, and lightning struck. It wasn't very far. This was an afternoon hunt because they're not very vocal in the afternoon. That joker struck, and as soon as it went boom, that turkey went gobble gobble gobble, and I almost went gobble 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 because it was so close myself. Like it spook shot him.
Mm.
It almost spook shot me enough to go get back in the truck.
Oh yeah, but that, like I say, there's, but that's the ones you remember. You don't remember the
Absolutely.
easy ones.
No.
I just went down to Florida, and I was done in 45 minutes. Which is great. That's great. Didn't have to hunt hard. That's always good when you don't have to hunt hard. But like we was talking about earlier, the memories you get with it, it's the struggles you remember. I'll remember that weekend forever. And another funny thing about that weekend, man, we got there, and Cheeseburger's so funny, man. Golly, he's the funniest individual I've ever met in my life. We daggum set up that afternoon, it's hot, and he sat in the darn ant bed. And the ants was tearing him up on his behind. We seen them 2 gobblers. They was about 100 yards. He couldn't move. He's getting bit in his behind the whole time.
Oh man,
it was an experience. So good luck in Texas.
Hey, usually what I say on the show, I base my hunting off of what I can find to eat. So if we can find somewhere good to eat, that makes the trip. So maybe me and Cheeseburger could get along.
No problem with that. So,
but they ain't gonna have no barbecue like we do in the South. I'm just gonna say
it. Probably not. So now you ask a guy from Texas that, he'd probably tell you differently. But
I know, man.
Good food.
Man, them Texas people don't know about a Southern barbecue.
No, they don't. Watch out for the scorpions. I will say that. I was not used to scorpions out there, and let me tell you what. They was in our house. Someone was in our house. We was down there about an hour from Corpus Christi. I mean, we was, I guess I don't know. I don't exactly know the geography of how Texas laid out. I don't know exactly where we're. I just flew in. They took me somewhere, and that was it. If something would have happened, I'd have no idea where I was. I didn't remember the town I was in. But that's where we was at. But look out for the scorpions. I was not used to a scorpion when I first seen one of them, and I'm not really afraid of spiders or anything like that. But I'm telling you what, I seen one of them little son of a guns, and I was like, I do not like those. So.
That's what we was talking about earlier. You down in Florida, y'all walked up on that water moccasin in February, and I'm like, nah. I probably would have had to Indian market. It would have been so hard for me not to shoot that water moccasin.
Look,
that's how bad I don't like snakes.
There is Florida, that where we was at, man. It's crazy because Florida, there's panthers everywhere down there. Like you go down the street, and they're protected down there, of course, which I think is cool. I actually really want to see one. I don't know what I would do if I seen one. That probably wouldn't be good, but I did see one the first time I went down there when we was going in there scouting. I seen one run back there. And the guy told me, who lives down there, he said they're not really true Florida panthers anymore. They're Utah mountain lions that they brought down here, which is kind of interesting. Never really thought about that. But they, giant. These son of gun. The one I seen a picture of, he said easily probably weighs 120, 130 pounds. Big cats. Wow. Something you don't want to see while you turkey hunting, I promise.
No,
the whole time when you're calling,
because you're on the ground, you're eye level with them.
Yeah, and the whole time I'm calling down there, I'm like looking back behind over my shoulder the whole time, But down there, man, you got the panthers. There's pigs everywhere. It's it's amazing that place. How people like, man, like this is normal. You know what I mean?
Well, I did want to put on here too before we leave. I want to throw this up on the page. So on Keek's website, there up under probably I think every choke that I ever clicked on, there is a chart, and it shows the little man saying, "Hey, here's the range. If you got a 20 gauge, 10 gauge decoy, it shows the yardage." And then they always had the recommendations. This is a great place. This is what I'm going to go hunt. This is what I'm taking. This is a good starting point. And like Jake said, give them a call. But, there's a lot of great information on the website that can lead you in a path to get started. But chokes are definitely something, it's just a key to one part key to success of a gun. So
agree.
I do appreciate you coming on, man.
Oh, I appreciate you having me, man. It's been a blast. I told you I could ran on, so maybe we'll have another 2 hours for another night. So
it sounds good to me. I'm still coming down there. I'm telling you, one day I'm going to take a day off and I'm going to show up at the shop.
Well,
I'm
I'll be
going to call
looking for
first
it.
because I don't want to come on a day you ain't going to be there. But
Well,
I'm going to have to take a vacation day.
well, there's not many vacation days. Just don't come during turkey season. Because it's and luckily with my job I don't really take off any during the year, except the only time I take off is during turkey season. Because I travel. I will go around and travel. Now, with me being married now, that may change. My wife, the first thing I told my wife when we first got together years ago, I said, you can get me any day of the week, any part of the year, except from, and this was back when it came in on the 22nd when we met, except from March 22nd to May 15th, because that's when Georgia's went out. Other than that, you can have me any day. Like I was telling you earlier, it's weather pending. There's probably been a day or two where it was storming and I didn't go, but since I was about 14 years old, 15 years old, I don't think I missed a day of turkey season.
Well, and as long as we've been married, my wife knows too that working. She sees it in me too that when I get out in the woods like by myself, it just releases so much stress. She's like, you need to be out in the woods.
Oh yeah.
You need to go. You need to get away.
Oh yeah. My wife is
And,
the same way. She knows. Like I say, she knows that's what I love doing. She's usually with me 90% of the time anyway. She's got the bug for it. She actually her turkey she killed last year, Philip aired for on a show of his, and so she's done killed one on TV now. She's a fanatic too. So
right.
I've done made her a fanatic. So and like I say, so she's usually with me.
Yeah. I'm trying to get my son into it. He's done caught the bug too, but
Once you get in your blood, there's no helping you. So
he's into bass fishing. I'm telling you, that little joker will out bass fish me, and people be like, "Are you holding back?" I ain't holding back because I'm telling you, I'll go out there to beat him in bass fishing or any kind of fishing, and that joker can whoop me fishing. So,
well, I can
hey,
tell you, he would look me too. Because if the Lord put me on an island with a fishing pole, I'm gonna starve to death, son.
that's the way I tell people. If I could keep him interested in fishing and hunting and shotguns, he'll be too broke to buy anything else.
Exactly, and that's what I was telling you earlier, man. The hunting, whether that be the deer hunt I used to do a lot or the turkey hunt, it's kept me out of trouble.
Absolutely. All right, man. Well, I appreciate it. I'll let you get some of your nighttime back. I know you're busy, man, and,
Oh,
and
I've
turkey
enjoyed it, man.
season turkey season's picking up. So y'all definitely go check out Kick's website. Call him up. You got a gun that you look for a choke, he can set you in the right direction. So
I
until next
appreciate
time,
it.
we'll see y'all next Wednesday at 8 o'clock. And like I said, a pretty good video coming out this weekend. And when y'all see that choke on that 10 gauge, I am not, I ain't even making it up. That song, oh my goodness. So all right, well, I appreciate it. And here's a word from our sponsors. Matthew Knight with Satura Investors out of Charlotte. There's the information. The link to his website is scrolling across the banner down at the bottom, and it's also in the description. Today's episode is about helping business owners and working professionals like you who share a passion for the outdoors shooting sports, zeroing them in to their long-term financial goals. So if you need any information or contact or any other questions, contact Matthew. Also go check out Salt Creek Ammo. This triple curl TSS is some of the best TSS I have ever shot. This is for waterfowl edition. It's made for waterfowl. So if you're going to shoot a species that you've been chasing for a long time, don't use no cheap ammo. You pay good money to go on a trip. You got great guns. Don't cheap out on cheap ammunition. This TSS is amazing. It's got number 7s, number 8s, and he has number 9s. So go check out saltcreekammo.com. Here you will find any kind of ammo you're looking for. He has custom loads. TSS in 10 gauge, 12 gauge, 20 gauge, low pressure, ammunition. You got predator ammunition, turkey ammunition, anything you're looking for, give Keith a call. Also to the channel, Kicks Industries, most people will know them as Kick Chokes, has came on board, and I have done a bunch of series lately on waterfowl choke tubes, turkey choke tubes, deer choke tubes. So go check out Kick's website for all of the chokes that can fit your guns. Flint Ridge Hauling Service LLC has partnered up with the channel. It is your go-to provider for all your hauling needs. They are not just any hauling service. They are an active DOT interstate hotshot hauling provider. Flint Ridge Service LLC prides itself in its reliable transportation services. This team ensures that your cargo is delivered safely and on time no matter the distance. Whether you need to transport goods across the county or state line, they have the capacity and the expertise to meet your hauling needs. Equipped with a smooth riding 40-foot air ride equipped trailer and a max hauling capacity of 20,000 pounds, there's no load too big or too small that they can't handle. Look no further than Flint Ridge Hauling Service LLC.